Hi everyone, my name is Shalhevet Schwartz, and this is Gefet on Daf Yomi, a joint project of Hadran and Yeshivat Drisha. The topic we'll be dealing with today is a phrase that appears in our Gemara on Daf Lamed He Bava Batra. The phrase is Shuda Daini, which literally translates to approximately the judge's estimation. Although, as we'll see later on, there are some who disagree with that literal rendering. And the phrase refers to a method of adjudication in some cases of mamon hamutal b'safek. Mamon hamutal b'safek, or disputed property, money that is in doubt, right, whose ownership is in doubt. And that brings us to a larger collection of sugyot that appear throughout Shas, right? One sugya here, a few sugyot in Bava Batra, and really brings us back even to the beginning of Bava Batra. Now, in some sense, right, all cases that appear before judges are mamon hamutal b'safek, are cases of disputed property or disputed money, at least with civil cases. Right, people come before a beit din because they have a problem. There's some kind of conflict between two parties, and the judges have to deal with, right, the question of, right, to whom does this property belong? They have a whole bunch of different kinds of legal and judicial tools at their disposal. They have, right, there are proofs. You can have a shtar, you can have edim. There might be certain cases where instead, in lieu of a shtar or edim, the judges will kind of arbitrate the case based on chazakot or based on, right, migo, other kinds of judicial tools that are at the judge's disposal. But the cases that are sort of formally defined as mamon hamutal b'safek, right, as these cases of money that is left in doubt, are cases in which the judicial tools sort of run out at a certain point, right? The judge is left without any clear proof or evidence, or like strong evidence that would lead the judge in one direction rather than another. And in those cases, there are a whole number of different solutions that appear in different places, in different sugyot, in Shas, in Mishnayot, and in several Gemarot. And it's what we kind of glean out of that is you end up with the Rishonim who try to understand why it is that in different cases we end up with different solutions. Right, that whole set of sugyot is a kind of large territory to traverse in your Iyun learning, and hopefully we're going to focus on one of the solutions, and the Diyun and the Rishonim about the nature of that solution, Shuda Daini, what it means, and what it's about, and a little bit how it compares to some of the other ones. But hopefully this will be just a taste of that larger sugya that hopefully you'll have the opportunity to go into in more depth in the future. So let's begin with our sugya on Daf Lamed He in Bava Batra. Right, and the case that the Gemara brings here is a case in which there's a dispute over land. Right, two people come before Rav Nachman. Zeh omer shel avotai, v'zeh omer shel avotai. Right, or the Rav Nachman is asked about this kind of case, right, in which two people claim that the same land sort of ancestrally belongs to each of them. Right, so it's not that one is claiming that they bought it from the other, and that we would want to see a shtar or something to prove either way, but the two people claim that no, this has been in my ancestral home for a long time, and this has been my ancestral home for a long time. So Rav Nachman's response, Amar Rav Nachman, Kol de'alim gvar. Right, Kol de'alim gvar is one of the other solutions or to mamon hamutal b'safek, and it means that may the strongest man win. Right, that essentially the two parties are going to fight it out. And there's a Diyun in the Rishonim about what exactly this means, whether this is a sort of one time get the two Ba'alei Din in a ring to box it out, and whoever wins, or whether this is a sort of a way that the Beit Din is saying, I don't want to interfere, I don't want to get involved. But that's Rav Nachman's solution for the case of Zeh omer shel avotai, v'zeh omer shel avotai, two claimants on the same parcel of land that it's ancestrally belongs to both of them. The Gemara then asks about this case, right, what is different about this case, the Zeh omer shel avotai, v'zeh omer shel avotai case? What is different? What is the difference between that case and a different case of shtei shtarot hayotzim biyom echad, which the Rishonim explain is a case in which there was a previous owner of a parcel of land who gave that parcel of land to two different parties, and wrote a shtar to each of them, a shtar matana to give the land to each of them, but wrote the shtar to each of them on the same day, right? So theoretically, right? If I write off my land to two different people, but one first, then whoever I wrote it to first becomes the owner of that land, and the second shtar becomes meaningless. But what happens if these two shtarot are dated on exactly the same date? So there, when it comes to that case, right, there's a machloket between Rav and Shmuel. The Rav Amar Yafloku. Rav says that you should split the property, that the two buyer or the two recipients of the land split the property. That Yachloku, we saw Kol Dalim Var is one solution. Yachloku is another one. That one also appears in the first Mishnah in Bava Batra. Ushmuel Amar, and Shmuel says Shuda Dedain. Right? Shmuel's answer is that what happens in the case of Shtei Shtarot Biyom Echad is not what Rav says Yachloku, but is Shuda Dedain. We'll see what the Rishonim think that is. So what's the difference, the Gemara asks, between Zomer Shalavotai, Zomer Shalavotai, and Shtei Shtarot Hayotzim B'Yom Echad? The answer that the Gemara offers is Hatam Leka L'Meika Maladi Milta, Hacha Ika L'Meika Maladi Milta. So that in the case of Shtei Shtarot Hayotzim B'Yom Echad, right, of the property that was given to two parties with a shtar that was dated on the same date, is that Leka L'Meika Maladi Milta, that it's going to be impossible to find out the truth really of the truth of the matter, right? This isn't a question that can be solved by kind of bringing aiding. Whereas it might be that in the future we actually have the judges end up with more information, right? So the judges maybe don't want to are sort of backing away from the situation and don't want to paskin right now, because it might be the case that come next week, there will be a number of witnesses who come and say, I used to till the land that person A's father owned. Whereas with Shtei Shtarot Hayotzim B'Yom Echad, the safek is kind of built into reality at this point. We have all the evidence that we're going to have. There are two different pieces of paper, and each of them are dated on the same date. And that, right, so in that case, would have to figure out another solution. We're not just going to, as a beit din, we're not just going to step back and let the parties fight it out. We're going to find some kind of either compromise or Shuda Dedaini, right, the operated according to the judge's estimation, whatever that means. Or split it. So that's the Gemara that we have before us. This is one example, and there are a few others to go in Shas, but even in this example, we see that there are 3 out of the 4 different solutions that are offered in cases of Mamon and Mutav Safek, right? So we saw Yachloku splitting it, coming to some sort of compromise. We're not sure if the property belongs to person A or person B, so we split it between the two of them, right? The advantage of that is that it seems, fair, at least. The disadvantage is that it is pretty clear that the action that the judges are taking is not, the judges are doing something that results in a chalukah that is not emet, right? That results in a distribution of the property that is not the true distribution that it is sort of supposed to be in some kind of meta sense, right? The rightful owner is clearly losing, and clearly half of the money or half of the disputed territories or disputed property is going to the non-rightful owner. So that's right, advantage disadvantage. Yachloku. Right, we have a kol de'alim gvar, in which on some level the beit din gets to step back and not do something that, or not make a mistake. But on the other hand, right, then you're permitting violence in the streets. So, right, so that solution clearly kind of comes with its disadvantages. Another solution, Yehemunach ad she'yavo Eliyahu, which doesn't appear in our sugya here, but appears in the opening sugya of Bava Batra. Right, Yehemunach ad she'yavo Eliyahu means, right, it's a case in which there are a disputed $100 or a disputed 100 maneh, 100 zuz, and the solution in the Mishnah that the Mishnah offers there is that disputed money should be left aside until Yavo Eliyahu, until the kind of the coming of Elijah to solve all of our doubt and solve all of our sfeikot. Right, again, you have a sort of, it's similar to Kol De'alim Gvar in that you have, right, the advantage of a solution like that is that beit din isn't propagating a falsehood in the world, isn't giving money to someone to whom it does not belong, and isn't giving money to someone to whom it does not belong. The disadvantage is that also it's a way of not operating. You also have the added disadvantage of who knows what the beit din's garage looks like if it's full of all of the disputed property and disputed money that has come its way for years and years and years until Mashiach comes. So those are 3 other solutions, and then we've got the solution that is before us, Shuda Dedaini, which means, and we'll see, right, the judge's estimation, the judge will decide who wins based on something. And the Rishonim are going to debate what exactly that something is that the Rishonim that the judges base their decision on. But you end up, one of the parties wins and one of the parties loses, and it's based on a decision that the judges make. So that also kind of comes with its advantages in that it looks like justice, but the disadvantages, and this will depend on which of the Rishonim understand, how the different Rishonim understand it, but that there's something more or less arbitrary, perhaps, or even perhaps corrupt about the way that the judges are operating, and they decide that one person wins and the other person loses. So now let's start by seeing what the Rashbam's explanation of this solution Shuda Daini, right? The Rashbam he's the one who's on the daf, Bava Batra Lamed Hey, right, in lieu of Rashi. So he's sort of the first place your eyes go. You see the word Shuda Daini, so the Rashbam on Shuda Daini, right? Lehoto sheyeh noten lev hadayanim sheyeh noten ohavo o krovo yoter. Divadai lahahu gamar va'at. So what does the Rashbam think that Shuda Daini is? Shuda Daini is the judges decide to whom to attribute the money, right? To whom to allocate the disputed property here based on their estimation, their intuition of who is likely to be, in this case, the person to whom the seller actually meant to give the property, right? I know that Reuven, who is giving his land to either Shimon or who wrote off his land to Shimon and Levi, right, knows Shimon really well, likes him, and has been a business partner of his for years. Whereas Levi, he barely knows the guy. Why on earth would he want to give him his property? To give him this property? So Shuda Daini, according to the Rashbam, is the judges using who have run out of legal tools, right, judicial tools. They don't have chazakot, they don't have ra'ayot. So now they can use psychological tools to try to come to to an answer that is, right, to try to determine the true answer to the question that has come before them. Right. So, right, to that person who they think is really the true recipient of the land, lo yitnu et hakarka, right, and that's the person you give the land to, and hopefully then in that case the true owner or the rightful owner of the property gets his due. So that's Shmuel's tfisa. That's why Shmuel says Shuda Daini, because I want the rightful owner. If there's a way to get the property to its rightful owner, if there's a way to say it's most likely that this is the right solution, then let's do that. So that's Shmuel's svara, that's Shmuel's rationale. And whereas right, according to Shmuel, right, why would we say yachloku in a case like this? Right, why would I split the property between two people if I know that one of them has no right to it? So that's really that if we could try to understand that the machloket between Rav and Shmuel in the Rashbam's world, right? Shmuel thinks we have a way of getting to the truth or a way of getting a likely truth, so let's go for that. Whereas Rav thinks we're not sure enough, and if we're not sure enough, what we have to do is find some sort of compromise. The Rashbam also offers there at the end a attempt to kind of understand linguistically, right, literally what's going on here with the word Shuda Daini. Shuda, right, the Aramaic word Shuda. So the Rashbam says Shuda lashon hashlacha yarabayam, right, yarabayam mitargaminan shadibiyama, right. So Shuda, the Rashbam says, comes from the language of to throw or to toss, and right, he understands it from he brings that kind of brings that etymology from the Tirgum of the words Yarabayam and Shirat Hayam, which to Unclus translates as Shadi Biyama, right, throws in the ocean, and that really what's going on here is the judges are sort of tossing out a solution. They're not certain, right, they're taught, but there's something that, like, it's not based on what they, right, it's not based on what they want, but it's based on their kind of estimation as understood through the language of kind of throwing. There's something, and even for the Rashbam, who thinks that they're trying to come up with the real answer, there's something somewhat arbitrary, or at least leaving it up to chance about what the judges are doing. So that is the Rashbam's take. To Tosfot. Tosfot has a very different understanding of what Shuda Daini is, and Tosfot thinks that we're based on a sugya in Gittin and a sugya Kiddushin that they're going to go into, that the Rashbam's understanding, or which they take as Rashi's understanding as well, can't possibly be correct. So what is Shuda Daini according to Rabbeinu Tam? Near other Rabbeinu Tam, that Shuda Daini is L'mishi Yirtzeh Dayan Mitain. Right, that Shuda Daini means that the Dayan makes a totally arbitrary decision, gives the property to the person to whom the Dayan wants to give the property. Arbitrary. It's not like what Rashi or here Rashbam says that you try to come up with some sort of estimation of what the seller or the giver, the original owner of the property, would have wanted or who he would have wanted to give to. It says that answer is not correct. Why? Shuda. So it's another case where the Gemara uses the word Shuda to refer to not some kind of estimation or using psychological tools to try to figure out what the truth is, but to a kind of arbitrary decision based on what the giver wants. And another time in Shas where Shuda Dedaini specifically shows up, Perek Asara Yuchsin and Kiddushin, Nami Amar Ne'eman Hadayan Lomar Lezezafiti Uzechiavti. So it's about a case in which a judgment has already been issued, and a dayan is ne'eman, right, is believed to say to kind of attest to how the deen in that previous case had gone. Well, in so that the dayan is ne'eman to it is right believed when he attests to what the previous case was only when the ba'alei din are there, but if they're not present, then he's not considered ne'eman. So yeah, an interesting sugya that we don't have time to go into right now, but the Gemara's question on it, which Tosfot brings here, right? So why do we have to know what the original deen was? Why don't we just double jeopardy? Why don't we just put the guys on trial again? And Umeshani, and the Gemara's answer in that case is Beshuda Dedaini, is that we're talking about a case in which the original deen, the original psak, had happened through Shuda Dedaini, right, through this method of adjudication that we saw in Bava Batra, and therefore we can't do it again. We can't try to try the guys again. Can't put them on trial a second time. The Ikepersha Kuntris says Tosfot, right? If Rashbam is correct that really what they're trying to, that what Shuda Dedaini is using psychological or other kinds of intuition tools to try to get at the truth. We could use those tools again. We would come up with the same answer. The tools of Shuda Dedaini should theoretically, if they're a way of getting to the truth, get you to the same truth every time. So the Shakla Bataria, the back and forth in the Gemara, the Sugyan Kiddushin, doesn't make sense according to Rashi's explanation. And the Tosfot brings another kind of sniff to their argument. Right, so that he quotes Yerushalmi, and we're going to see the Yerushalmi in a second. That the Yerushalmi says that what's happening in this case is that the Beit Din is giving the property to the person who they deem fit or deem worthy, and not based on their estimation of the truth of the case. So according to Tosfot, right, Shuda Dedaini is a totally arbitrary decision on the part of the judges, right? The judges are making a decision not based on what they think is the correct deen in this case, but based on what they want. And so to go back to like the machloket Rav and Shmuel of why in a case of Shtei Sharot, one would say Yachlok, Rav would say Yachloku, and Shmuel would say Shuda Dedaini, right? Both are sort of arbitrary decisions that don't get us to the true solution. It might be that for Rav, given that we're going to be arbitrary, we might as well split it. We might as well be arbitrary and fair. Whereas for Shmuel, right, if we're being arbitrary, then we can be totally arbitrary, and who knows, you might even be right. You might even be right. Whereas with Yachloku, there's no way you're going to be right. Now, one of the things that one of the problems with understanding Shuda Dedaini the way that Tosfot does is that ultimately, right, if we're going based on a totally arbitrary decision on the part of the judges, then that it might incentivize the judges to be corrupt, right? It might incentivize the judges to take bribery or to operate in a way that is not only arbitrary but actually might be deeply unfair or deeply unjust. So right, if that's the case, then what's to stop them from taking bribes? Tosfot responds, so anyone who takes reward or takes payment for exacting judgment in one direction or another is not considered a dayan, right? Like we we shouldn't worry about that. But not only we shouldn't worry about that, like, of course, bribery is not on the table. Old period and Tosfot adds here to doubt that Rabbanit Tam adds here to doubt the dayan mumcha os Shuda, right? That actually we're going to limit the scope of who can do Shuda Dayani. It's only going to be a particular group of dayanim mumchin, of particularly expert, particularly trustworthy judges, right? Mar lav dayanahu gabe right gabe midiram barchama. So there are cases of Amoraim who are considered to be serious judges, and yet are considered to be not sufficiently expert or sufficiently trustworthy to judge in certain cases, and that a dayan mumchet, right, might be a sort of special category of judge who is really the only type who's able to do Shuda Dayani. If we think that right, Shuda Dayani is genuinely making a decision arbitrarily, then we might want a particularly kind of high bar for the sort of judge who could execute a judgment like that. Right now, let's go into the Yerushalmi that Tosfot mentions, and the Yerushalmi has a really has a different take that's even more extreme, perhaps. Yerushalmi in Ketubot, right? Parak Yod Halacha Daled calls Shuda Didani Shmuel Amar Shuda Didani, right? Doesn't use the word Shuda Didani that we saw, right? Shuda as in throwing, maybe, but adds a chet, right? From the word shochad, right? It's the bribery of the judges. Right? Is right? The Yerushalmi describes Shmuel's opinion in this case of as yeah, sure, the judges are supposed to take bribes, which is to say, this is a case in which the favorable judgment or the property will go to the highest bidder. And maybe if you think about it as going to the highest bidder, it seems a little bit less corrupt inherently, in that, right? Okay, we don't know what to do with this property, so we put it on auction. The Darkei Moshe in Choshen Mishpat Siman Reish Mem, it brings actually this as the opinion of the Ran in the Bavli, right? This is the Katav Ran Barish Shvuat Ha'edu Diyesh Gorsin Shulch Dedaini, or that according to the Ran, there's a girsa, even in the Bavli, that is Shulch Dedaini, right? Kimutar likach shochad b'din zeh. Right, this is a case in which it is actually not only something that we have to worry about that the judge might take bribes, but this is the case in which bribery is actually mutar, because the judges aren't judging; they're not trying to determine to whom the property actually belongs. It's a situation where they don't know, so sure, send it to the highest bidder. Yeah, mutar less of mashir itself. I think failsafe right? Right, and it's also what the Nimukei Yosef has to say on our sugya. V'nir'eli divrei Haran Nimukei Yosef einam el lefarish Tosfot perik mishayana nasui de pirshu shabiyad dayan as mashir tzeh. So that maybe it is the case that the Ran and Nimukei Yosef are trying to explain really maybe it's not what Tosfot themselves actually say, but to explain something that's sort of lying really at the heart of the opinion of the Tosfot, that the Dayan's making an arbitrary decision, right? Totally, right? If right, what does it mean that the judges are making an arbitrary decision? It means that they're giving the property to the highest bidder. And again, if we were to go back to our sugya, this machloket between Rav and Shmuel, right? Rav thinks that when you don't know, so you compromise. Yachloku. We're not going to get to the truth. Whereas, according to Shmuel, if we don't know, then it's not like we're not trying to adjudicate at all, really, right? The property could belong to either of you, so we're going to give it to the one of you who's willing to pay up more. On some level, Shuda can be seen as a judicial favor to the one who's willing to offer more money to the judges themselves. Finally, we're going to, or not finally, but the final opinion in the Rishonim that we're going to see is the opinion of the Ramban, which also kind of takes the general track of Tosfot in that against the Rashbam, and that the Ramban also thinks that you're not trying to figure out who the rightful owner of this property in this case is, but we'll see that the Ramban actually thinks that the decision is not totally arbitrary, but it's based on other factors. So the Ramban appears Shuda Dani and Mishir Hadayan Yitnenu. Right, like Tosfot, that Shuda Dani, the Dayan, the judge, is giving the property to the person to whom he wants to give it to. The thing, of course, for Yerushalmi, Dani Machlitim, Tolocho Mishir Tzu, right, also quotes the Yerushalmi, Valashon Morsham Kach Shulch Dani, right, that in the Yerushalmi it says Shulch Dani. Sorry. But then the Ramban adds, what does it mean, kol mashir tzu? Why would a particular judge decide to give it to this party or that party? V'im ohavin is yoter mizeh. Mipnei shehu amit b'torah mitzvot. Yitnu lo. Nimsa shetzarich litin shochad l'dayanim. V'hu kilshon pizma. So he explained the Yerushalmi not as meaning that anyone's actually giving the Yerushalmi bribes, but that you're going to give, that the judges are going to give the property to the person to whom they think deserves it more, right? What the Ramban says here is that the person who is more amit b'torah mitzvot, right? The person who deserves it more, who's a good upstanding citizen based on external factors that don't necessarily have to do with the particular case at hand and to whom the field actually belongs. But that given that you're trying to prove to the judges that you deserve it more, that you end up the Ramban saying that the reason the Yerushalmi is using the word shuda l'daini or bribery for the judges is that you end up in a situation in which it seems like people might be incentivized or motivated to offer bribes to the judges. But the Ramban assures us that the term bribery is a kind of exaggeration or hyperbole, and that no one's actually offering bribery to judges. Instead, what it means is that the judges are deciding based not on internal considerations to this case, but a psychological assessment of who we think the giver actually meant to give the property to, but based on external considerations. Right, who deserves it more? It might be, he doesn't say it here, but right, the external considerations of who deserves it more might also be who needs it more, right? I might want to give the property to the more vulnerable party, although here the Ramban uses the example of amit b'torah mitzvot, someone who is a kind of upstanding good Jew. So the judges are making a decision right now based on a values-based judgment that's unrelated to the particular monetary conflict at hand. And again, the difference between Rav and Shmuel, right, between Yachloku and Shuda, right, is that according to Rav, we're coming up with some sort of compromise solution, whereas according to Shmuel, the judges here have leeway to seek justice in a broader sense, right? Not particular justice about this case, but to play pedagogue maybe, or to reward people who deserve it more in a larger and kind of broader external sense. Finally, there's the opinion of Rav Zalman Nechemia Goldberg, right? A modern Achron offers a totally different way of explaining what's going on in Shuda D'Daini, and he sort of returns us a little bit into the direction of the Rashbam, in that he also thinks that it might be that what's going on in Shuda D'Daini is an attempt to bring us toward the truth, but he gives us a different understanding of how that would work. Right, so what Rav Zalman Nechemia says, right, Tzarich Lamar Shuda D'Daini hu ke'ein goral. He thinks that Shuda D'Daini, and this maybe brings us back to the language of tossing or of throwing, but is that it's a kind of rolling of the dice, right? It's leaving it up to fate on some level, right? He quotes Sugya in a seif in the Shulchan Aruch about when it's allowed asur and mutar to basically roll the dice for different portions of gifts on Shabbos. Even within the family, within like a private setting, he says, right, there might be a concern that it's like misachik b'kubiyah, right, that it's a form of gambling. So as he brings the discussion of that sugya that's unrelated and not necessarily something we need to go into right now, right, he says at the end, if you look at the last sentence here on Gam Shuda D'Daini hu pitaron misug zeh, right, Shuda D'Daini is also a form of the rolling of the dice. Right, when we have no way of determining the truth and poskening in a properly judicial manner, osim shuda. We say we roll the dice, leave it up to God, and hope that fate brings us in the correct direction. Right, it really kind of on some level actually leans into the arbitrariness of Tosfot, right? It's not making a decision based on external considerations, based on bribery or anything like that. It's actually the more arbitrary, the better, because properly arbitrary means random, and random means leaving it up to fate, which is in some sense leaving it up to God. It might be that through that we actually get moved kind of closer toward the truth, right? And in that case, right, the difference between that and right, Machloket Rav and Shmuel is a question of really compromise versus versus throwing up our hands and leaving this kind of case to be solved not by us but by Akash Baruch Hu. So just to review the spectrum of shitot here, the Rashbam thinks what Shuda Daini is making use of psychological tools to find the truth. Rabbeinu Tam thinks it's an arbitrary decision based entirely on judicial will, right? That there's and that creates a danger of bribery, right? A risk that someone might be incentivized to take bribes. Right, according to the Ramban, that it's a decision that's based on judicial will in favor of a person who deserves it more. And that also kind of creates this risk of bribery, but both of them don't necessarily understand Shuda Daini's case in which bribes really are permissible or taken. The Yerushalmi and quote in the Ran, right, is actually and the Ran and failsafe are a judicial decision in favor of the highest bidder, right? Taking the Shuda part literally, the bribery part literally, and that's fine, right? Inachinami, according to the Yerushalmi, it seems. And Rav Zalman Nechemi Goldberg, right, thinks that what Shuda Daini is a throwing of the dice, a way of leaving the decision up to fate or to the divine will. And really, we saw 5 different opinions, but we can really sort of break them down into 3 different categories, right? There's the an attempt to reach the truth, which the Rashbam certainly thinks that Shuda is, and maybe even Rav Zalman Nechemi thinks it is. Because leaving it up to God might be a way of trying to reach the truth. It might be an arbitrary decision, right? On Tosfot, it's entirely based on judicial will, whereas in the Yerushalmi, it might be based on who's willing to pay the judges more. Whereas going to the Ramban, it's a decision that's not based on the facts of this case in particular, but it's also not entirely arbitrary, and it might actually be a decision based on external values, who deserves it more, who needs it more, etc. So really what we've seen so far, right, we've dived into one of the 4 different solutions offered in Mamon and Safek. The decision, right, Shuda Daini, the arbitrary or semi-arbitrary decision on the part of the judges, but really that we could do this with each of the other solutions, and there's a whole rich territory to dive into in the world of the Rishonim around what to do with Mamon and Safek. It opens up ways of thinking about how we deal with doubt, not only in cases of disputed property or disputed money, but also in doubts that we encounter in our own lives, and really can offer us food for thought. When do we want to kind of shut the door and escape the problem? When do we want to compromise? When do we want to try to find the truth through other kinds of external tools that we maybe didn't necessarily have? When do we want to decide that actually the particulars of this particular doubt doesn't matter, and we want to make our decisions based on a broader set of considerations? But hopefully this gives you a taste of this world of sugyot, and hopefully you'll have the opportunity to explore them further. So thanks so much, and see you next week.